Welcome to the Inside Out Money Podcast.
Can't even recognize this place. Too many pieces of our past mistakes.
Hi, I'm Maggie, and I believe real change starts from the inside out. So let's work together to improve our money and our lives from the inside out. We will explore all things money and our relationship with it. Join me each week with a rotating set of co-hosts, friends, and interviews. Let's jump in.
It's time, we going round and round and round and round and round.
Hi, Liz.
Hi, Maggie. Hello. Wow, you look extra beautiful today.
I mean, I appreciate you bringing up first. I was actually about to fish for a compliment. Some very nice ladies spent over an hour.
I don't think it was an hour.
I mean, the food was cooking, so I literally had a timer on. I know it was an hour. It was an hour because you were teaching someone else how to use. You were teaching a 13-year-old. Liz did a very lovely job using her very fancy Dyson Airwrap. This is not sponsored, but if you'd like to sponsor us, Liz would love a free
I would totally take
Dyson Airwrap. My 13-year-old would now love one also. And they air curled. Is that what you call this?
Yeah,
my hair.
Air wrapped your hair, I guess.
This is on par with what I paid someone to do on my wedding day, which was the last time anyone did my hair this nicely. So
That's amazing.
It's been a while.
I'm glad you like it. And then Kate gave me these braids.
Oh yeah, Kate gave Liz 2 Dutch braids. They look very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so we're looking good. We should go hit the town after this.
It's too bad this isn't a video podcast.
I know.
You know?
Yeah.
Or just, I guess they'd call that a video.
Whatever. Anyways, what are we doing here tonight?
Welcome to, in case you're wondering where you are, this is not a hairstylist or fashion podcast. Welcome to Inside Out Money, not hair.
Yeah.
A personal finance podcast focused on redefining wealth from the inside out. Every week, I speak with a rotating set of co-hosts about a different financial topic, though it feels like it's you mostly. And
we've been... I normally don't, not normally, I don't live in Atlanta. And so I'm not normally in Atlanta. So while I'm here for a few days, we're just recording every day.
Doing some batching, yeah.
Maggie just said, actually, she goes, if you moved here, we could post.
We could be record every day. And put
every day.
Out. Yeah, it might, I don't know if the world could handle every day of us. But anyways, we do this podcast to help you improve your financial mindset and tactics. Today we've got co-host Liz here, and we're going to talk about borrowing stuff, borrowing houses, everything from borrowing a drill from your neighbor to borrowing a friend's car for a road trip or to go pick up a couch to borrowing money. There's a lot of stuff people might ask to borrow.
I'm a big fan of borrowing in general. I think there should be more borrowing in the world. So I am looking forward to talking about this.
Yeah. And we have different, I was going to say we have different takes on it, but it's not even the spirit of it. I'm also a big fan of borrowing. I love, I frequently borrow things on my, our neighborhood Facebook group and lend things and vice versa. But you are way better and more liberal and less, for an anxious person, a self-admitted anxious person, true. You are way less anxious than I am about it.
About the borrowing. And
the what if something happens? What if they crash my car? Then who's going to deal with, all the sort of what ifs,
Right. And then we also promised you a story.
A juicy story.
Right. And so we're going to tell you about our big fight that we had.
Yeah. It was not a fight.
I know.
She's just teasing.
I'm just teasing.
But we promised it at the end of
What do you mean it wasn't a fight? Now we're in a real fight.
Geez,
yes, it was.
It was a fight. No, it wasn't. Shut up. I'll make you shut up. We promised it. We genuinely did not mean to leave people hanging. We thought we were going to cover it in the financial etiquette episode. And then 2 hours into recording, we were we have got to end this episode.
Because we're just tired of
we were tired.
And go to bed.
We were thirsty. I had to go to the bathroom. I was we cannot, nobody wants to listen to 2 hours of us. And so we were we're going to put all the stuff about borrowing was could be its own episode. So we had to save the story for that. We'll get to it when we get to talking about the particular topic. Said fight was over, right?
I think high level, we want to talk about borrowing things like communication, some sticky situations if people don't return the thing that they borrowed.
Yeah. Some
If
like best practices.
Right. If people don't treat the thing they borrowed well, how to make sure you're treating the thing that you borrowed well.
How to like ask to borrow something.
Yeah.
How to communicate.
Decline.
Yeah, how to diplomatically communicate and like say yes or no, which you have, you have the right to say either. Mm-hmm. And, you know, how to set boundaries, best practices for if you're the borrower versus the borrowee. Mm-hmm. And we'll try to cover a lot of angles on this.
Okay. All the angles.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about borrowing.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think maybe I'm a big example person. That's how my brain works. I like to talk about examples or scenarios. And I think we should just jump into a topic. Do you want to start with cars?
No, I think we should start small and work our way up to big.
Okay.
And I'm gonna
mascara.
Okay, yeah, toothbrush. I mentioned toothbrush earlier. I was like, who would you share a toothbrush with? I just
borrowing a toothbrush. Smash your pass.
Keep my toothbrush, okay? If you need a toothbrush, first off, I have an extra that's clean that you can have. You don't need mine.
I own so many toothbrushes.
If I really need to, like, if you really need my toothbrush, I'll just go get a new one tomorrow. So, okay, let's move up to mascara. I don't own mascara, so if someone asked me if they can borrow my mascara, I would be like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have any.
Yeah.
But here's a best practice. It's probably not a good idea to lie. Like, if you don't feel comfortable letting someone borrow your mascara, you could white lie. I wouldn't say I don't have any. I mean, I actually don't have any, so that's true. But if you really just don't feel comfortable lending out your mascara, there's nothing wrong with being, oh, sorry, I've got like, I'm worried I have pink eye, or like one of my kids has pink eye. I went straight to pink eye.
Didn't you just say not to lie?
I said don't lie. That's a white lie. Not saying I don't have any mascara if I do is a straight up lie.
Okay.
Saying I'm like, if I'm what if I like drop my purse and they see that I have mascara?
Mascara rolls out onto the floor.
Yeah, it rolls out onto the floor, and then I'm like, oh shit, now they caught me. But it's okay to be like, oh yeah, I'm really sorry. I just like, I'm a little like, I don't know. I shouldn't go for the pink eye excuse. I consider that a white lie. I don't need to get into why I don't want you to borrow my mascara if I'm not comfortable with it.
Okay.
But to be clear, you can borrow my mascara, Liz. I just don't own any. But you could borrow my kids' mascara. They all own some.
So usually we're further into the episode before things go off the rails.
No, not true.
But I don't think that I would loan mascara because it touches my eye. I don't think you should borrow mascara.
I think it is hilarious that you won't loan mascara, which it touches your eye, but like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's like a
you're
health
worried.
thing.
Yeah.
Like, would you let me borrow your chapstick?
Yeah, I actually
think that's less gross than mascara.
I would totally let you borrow my chapstick. I let my friends borrow my chapstick all the time.
Yeah.
You won't let...
Mascara is different. I just feel like I read in an article sometime that you shouldn't borrow mascara.
Well, you actually mentioned earlier my brush. You were like, because we were doing hair. And,
yeah.
And I was like, you're welcome to use my brush. If you'd like to hear how many times lice has been through my house, at your own risk. And then you put the brush down and use something else.
We started on such a non-financial topic.
Yeah.
But I do think makeup is an interesting one because I would loan someone... one of the greatest joys in my life is actually getting ready with other women for an event or other people who want to wear makeup and do their hair.
One of my worst nightmares. If you want to help me get ready, that's fine. You saw how uncomfortable I was sitting there. I don't know why that is not. It's just like not in my wheelhouse.
But I think kind of part of it is for something like New Year's Eve or getting ready. I go to one big fundraiser every year. That's one of my favorite events. And the best part is if I get to get ready with a friend ahead of time and we're in the bathroom together and I'm like, oh, do you want to borrow my blush? Like, oh, I have this great,
oh, that's cute.
You know, I just got a contour stick. I'm learning how to use it if you want to borrow it, that kind of thing.
See, I would be the one who's like, could I borrow everything and could you put it on? Because I don't know how to use it. And like, what's a contour stick and where do I put it? Okay.
All right, let's go from there.
But you just said those aren't financial. To me, the reason those are financial is because ultimately... Even if it's like something where you're like, oh, I don't really like, I really like this person and I want to help, like they're out of, like, let's say someone was like really in a this actually happens with my kids all the time. Someone like needs something now for something, like they're leaving for camp and like one of my kids, their digital camera was broken. You can't have phones at camp and they really like taking pictures. And the other kid was leaving 2 days later. And I was like, Kate, I'm giving Anna your brand new camera that I just bought you. And I'm about to Amazon you a camera that will be here tomorrow to replace it. So it is financial where, you know, you're lending someone your mascara and you really want to do them a solid. But your belief is you're never going to use that mascara again. You can just be like,
My mascara is only $8, so I would probably just say, you can just have it if you want it.
Well, you didn't even have to say that. You could say, oh, I have another one. I just got another one. Just keep that one.
Yeah.
You know, you don't even have to say, like, I don't normally lend out
Right.
My point is, you don't have to... This is something we're going to get back to in the conversation we had. I overshared my thoughts on a matter, and you were like, you could just say, yeah, I don't do that.
You could just say no.
Yeah, you could just say no. But, like, so the point about the mascara is, like, sometimes it's easier to, like, just tell a quick white lie or whatever you want to call it of like, oh, I got another one at home. I'll just, you know, and you're just going to go buy another one.
I think this is just another example where you want to concoct an elaborate story or scenario. And I'm like, you should just say no if you don't want to loan someone. You should just be like, oh, I don't feel comfortable loaning out my mascara.
But that I'm like such a people pleaser. That's like, I would feel bad.
Listen, I talk a big game. I'm like, just say no. And then in the situation, I'd be like, why don't you just have it and keep it? Why don't I go buy you 10 new mascaras?
Yeah, I feel like you'd be like, just take all my makeup. Here's my here's my purse. Like, do you want me to put it on you?
Why don't you just punch me in the face?
Here's $20 cash too.
Okay. I think the next level up is clothes.
Oh, I was gonna go to tools. Let's start with clothes. Okay.
Clothes.
Okay. Oh, I got some fun examples. We're gonna do like smash or pass on clothes.
I know.
Leggings.
No.
Okay, I agree for what it's worth.
I even asked to borrow leggings.
I don't know, but
one time
what if you were in town and your leggings broke and you were like, can I borrow a pair of your leggings?
One time I borrowed leggings, like in kind of an emergency situation from...
That's my point. It would be an emergency. It wouldn't be just like on the regular.
And then I wore them, then I washed them, and then I returned them.
Okay.
It was fine.
I don't wear underwear with leggings.
Oh.
I'm not alone in that, but I sometimes feel like I'm in the minority.
You're alone in this room.
Okay, yeah, I'm not. I realized over time, I thought nobody wore underwear with leggings.
Huh.
And then I learned most people do. My kids are like, you're disgusting. And you're like...
I don't think it's gross. I just like to re-wear my leggings.
As a result, I do not re-wear my leggings often. And so, yes. Anyways... So that's one reason for the same reason I wouldn't loan my underwear out.
Yeah.
You know?
It's interesting. I would be much more hesitant to loan clothes versus makeup because clothing is harder to replace. Like most of the makeup that I wear, I could just go to the drugstore tomorrow and buy it all again, and it wasn't that expensive in the first place. But clothing, it's such a... Like, if I bought a sweater a year ago, I can't go out and buy that same sweater if someone destroys it. So
what if I'm, like, in your house and I'm, like, I'm cold, do you have a jacket?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. If we're together, then that's fine.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I get it back. And
I think a general question about borrowing stuff is, it's, like, a little bit different to be like, on all these examples, can I borrow your, shirt for whatever? I'm just in a bind for this minute. I'll bring it back to you in the morning. Can I borrow something? Can I take your car, can I borrow your car to go do this for 30 minutes? Can I take your car on a road trip?
Yeah.
Get into those examples.
Are all different.
So I do think there's a length of time of like, is this a quick,
Yeah.
I was thinking about mascara. Right. Like, is it a quick flash of my eye or like, do I need this for...
Or do I need this? Can I borrow your mascara for a month?
Yeah.
It's like kind of a different question.
Yes.
Okay.
So like power tools and stuff.
I guess I own some tools.
Oh, people ask me all the time to borrow tools, and I vice versa. Friends, I gotta borrow a friend's chainsaw.
Do you say yes because you have a lot of tools I think that have sentimental value?
Yeah, but I say yes because it's pretty hard to like break a miter saw. I
don't even know what that is. I was like, right, miter saw, totally
tough. Yeah, a circular saw, perhaps. You know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't tell if that was a sincere yeah. You're like, yeah, of course.
It's a saw, but it's like a circle.
What you know about makeup, I know about power tools. So, yeah, I would loan out power tools like all the time. I do all the time to friends and family. And I'll give you a like general best practice for all loaning, but here's a real example. A friend of mine, he actually works for DeWalt, so he owns every power tool under the sun. And we borrow his chainsaw every now and then. I don't know, maybe once a year. Mm-hmm. And it's a nice chainsaw. It's cordless, very powerful though. This is sponsored by DeWalt. Just kidding. And he, like, so we borrowed it once and we did like a lot of work to like cut down this dead tree. Mm-hmm. And Greg was like, we pretty much like, the blade was pretty dull by the end of the project. And so Greg was like, I went and bought a new blade and installed it. Mm-hmm. And so when he gave it back to him, he was like, hey, I put a new blade. Shape, and it was like, So, and then we cleaned it up. So it's like, if you borrow something,
leave it better than you found it.
Yeah, leave it better than you found it, Leave no trace, or at least leave it as good as you found it, if not better, is always a good best practice, because I think there's some trust in relationships of like, when I do lend something to someone, I normally only do it if I trust them. Mm-hmm. And if they return it nicely, I'm like way more likely to do it again. And if they don't, it kind of puts a little strain on. I'm like, oh, this is, you like borrowed this and sort of broke it. Or like,
yeah.
You know? And actually related to that is an interesting thing of, I have 3 teenage girls and we are about where we all wear the same size now.
Oh.
So my kids want to borrow things and kids don't take the greatest care of things. So I have like, you know, my kids will just be like, oh, I don't want to walk downstairs to get a sweatshirt. Can I just wear this one? And sometimes I say yes if it's one that's not like my fave. But sometimes I'm like, the last sweatshirt you borrowed from me has like oil stains down the front of it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what you do at school, but somehow you get like crazy stains that don't come out of things.
Yeah.
It's like you eat a piece of pizza and just wipe your hands across your chest. And so there's sometimes that I am a little like, I will lend my kids many things, but there have been times when I tell my kids, yeah, no, I'm sorry. Like the last time you know, and like, I'll never see this again if it leaves this house.
That's fair. I think that's legit.
But I also, like, I want them to feel like I trust them. So I do sometimes.
You need some decoy sweatshirts.
I do. I always point.
Don't.
I point to the one. I'm like, you can take this one or that one or that one. Don't touch these 7.
Exactly.
But they want those 7. They can tell what you care about the most. It's like they can feel it. They can see right through me.
That's amazing.
Okay, so tools. What's after tools? Like,
okay,
are we at
cars?
Okay, cars. This is it. Are you guys ready?
This is our story.
This is juicy.
So I'm visiting Maggie in Atlanta right now, which is so fun, by the way.
Yeah.
Can I just, as an aside, like, I'm having the best couple of days.
Oh, thanks.
Like, we're
Me too.
just recording and we went on this great hike and we're going to great restaurants and it's just really, I feel so well taken care of and
thanks.
well hosted and it's really great, except this one thing.
Well, not perfectly hosted, right? Yeah. Except for.
So we have some family in the Atlanta area and wanted to go visit a specific relative in the morning. And I said, Maggie, feel free 100% to say no to this because I have other options. But would you mind if we borrowed one of your cars to go drive to see this person? Because it's about an hour away. And so it's a little bit harder to do like
Uber,
public transportation or Uber or Lyft. It's going to be expensive.
You're in Atlanta. There's no way to get there with public transportation.
Okay.
And yes. It's not a $10 Uber. Yeah.
Right. And Maggie's response was, I don't know. It was like very long.
It was long-winded. There was a lot of context. So I respond with a lot of context.
Maggie was like, okay, wait, can I just say what my
you
memory of you
your
saying
version,
it was?
because honestly, it's probably more accurate than my own.
Maggie was like, okay, so it's so interesting that you asked that actually, because I would actually like love to get your thoughts and opinions on this in general, because cars, man, right?
First off, you're really accurate.
She goes, okay, so here's the thing. Because I drive a Tesla, like if
No, I started with the deductible, I think. Okay, but keep going.
Okay.
Keep going.
She was like, okay, because I drive a Tesla, it's like really, really hard. So if you wreck it, and I was like, well, I never said I was going to wreck it, but okay. She's like, okay, so the thing is, if you wreck it, then nobody works on Tesla. So the thing is if you crash my car, it's a Tesla, and then nobody works on it for like 6 months. And then also my deductible is $2,000. And then also my car insurance goes up by so much. So I have this like $2,000 deductible, and then I have to have a rental car because I can't be without a car for 6 months.
And I
then
don't have
also
rental car coverage.
My insurance goes up, and we just got our insurance rates down because
just hit the
somebody
5-year
in this
mark.
family, we won't say who, it was Greg, got in a wreck. And so our car insurance rates were higher, and it just came down to 5 years. So I'm actually like, Liz, really tell me what you think, because you loan a car to someone, and then are they like,
what
I have all these things, and then what happens with, deductible and rental and car insurance? And I was like,
and then right then we like arrived at your destination.
We got somewhere, and she was like, okay, think about it. Let me know what you think. Talk to you tomorrow.
Oh my gosh. That was very accurate, and I kind of sound like an asshole.
No, you didn't at all. But what was funny is, so my partner and I walked into where we were going.
Your partner asked the question also.
Yeah, I was just saying I asked it just to be like, just to make the story.
I mean, had you asked, I would have said yes right away, just to be clear.
Well,
if you had those Dutch braids in and, twinkled your eyes.
And I'd already done your hair and looked so beautiful. Okay, so my partner and I walk into where we're going by ourselves. And it was like, my partner goes, So that was a no, right? Like, that was like a pretty clear no. And I was like, I don't know, actually. Like, I'm not sure if she was saying no or if she was saying, yes, you can borrow my car, but if you wreck it, you have to pay my $2,000 deductible and the difference in my health insurance for the next, or not my health insurance, my
but
car.
also my health insurance while we're there. Because the anxiety.
Like, if you wreck it, you need to pay my $2,000 deductible. You need to pay the difference in my car insurance rates for the next 5 years. And you need to pay for my rental car for the next 6 months. So can you just, and then I said, can you please pull it up on the Uber app and see how much it is to Uber? And it was like $60 each way. And I was like, let's just pay the $60 each way.
And then
because also I think Maggie doesn't want to loan us her car.
So my thing is, for context, I got to share some things.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
But first off, very accurate.
Okay.
I could never, I was actually there and I couldn't have recounted it as well as you just did. You have much better, like, short-term memory and recounting of things. So
That's funny.
I have never loaned my car to anyone. So it's not just you. It's not like I loan it to people all day long and then, like, I would tell everybody the same thing I just told you.
But do you know what? That would have been a perfect answer. Hey, can I borrow your car? I don't loan my car to anyone. Great.
Yeah. In hindsight, we had like a conversation later about it. First off, I got them a car. Okay.
Yes.
I had them borrow my mom's car, which is the funniest thing. Hey, Mom, thanks. Because like
he's like, I don't loan out my fancy Tesla,
but I'm happy to loan out my mom's car because like my mom is like. It's a really old car, but still, it's like it was like a good driving experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's clean.
It was lovely.
Yeah, and like. But, like, she's already considered giving it up soon. Like, she would be, her insurance is super cheap because she's, like, 70-something. You know, there's, like, we got, like, 16-year-olds on our policy. Like, she's our car insurance situation is sticky and expensive. And so I was like, if something happened to her car, no big deal. You're not out much. It's not, you know, like, to make the situation right is low effort on everybody's part. Mm-hmm. You might have done her a favor, actually, you know? And so...
You would only be responsible for... a $500 deductible, a rental car for 3 months. Anyways.
Ubering my 75-year-old mom where she, you know, like her pain and stuff.
You would just have to move here and drive her around.
Right. She got a lot of doctor's appointments, so, you know, you're going to be responsible for that.
You just have to quit your job and move here and become her chauffeur.
So, yeah, I went into, Liz later gave me some very diplomatic and friendly feedback that I didn't need to say all that and that it was perfectly acceptable to just say, I don't loan my car out. Because I was like, give me some feedback. Like, I'm very open to feedback. And like, in that situation, and it's funny, I kind of came home and told Greg, and Greg was like, I mean, they could probably borrow my car. And I'm like, but you use that car for like Uber drive. I mean, you would really like, it would actually affect your income if you didn't have your car for 6 months.
I think like the gist of the feedback was I didn't understand what you were saying. Like I didn't understand if you were trying to say no or if you were trying to say yes, but here are the conditions.
Yeah, I was kind of, what I was actually trying to say is I was trying to put my anxiety out to you.
Tell me, because I still don't know.
And then I was waiting for like I literally said to Greg, I was like, had their response been, oh, cool, I'm totally comfortable with like the risk involved. Like, I feel good. I'm not going to get in a wreck. And I'm not worried about you getting in a wreck. I'm worried about someone else hitting you. Yeah. Then it like affects my insurance rates for like, you know, another 5 years or 3 to 5 years, depending on where you live.
But I think that's what I wasn't clear about. Because if you, I wasn't sure if you meant, okay, that's fine. But if you wreck it, like you're responsible for the deductible.
Yeah, I don't really know what I meant. I mean, at the deductible at the very least, because that would be like the hard cost associated. But then I was like, what if you do wreck it and then I like don't have a car for 3 to 6 months, you know?
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't even know I don't know what I would do in that situation. I see someone else. And so I don't, in fairness, just to be clear, I also don't like borrowing other people's cars. Yeah. And then Greg goes, they lent you their car. And I was like, yeah, I had COVID and I had to go to the doctor and they didn't want to get in a car with me. But you're right, they did.
Yeah. But it didn't even cross my mind.
It didn't. Be like... And then in the conversation, I learned, we'll get into this, they have a couple staying at their home that are watching their dog that they know, you know.
A little bit.
They're not like super close with, but they're house sitting and dog sitting. And they were like, oh yeah, you can use my car. And they don't have the sort of relationship that like you and I have, I'll put it that way. Yeah. And so I was like, holy crap, that I barely get over like lending it to you. And I'm kind of getting over it for what it's worth. Yeah. Slowly. But I have like, I have a lot of anxiety of like, oh, but what if something happened? It would be like such a pain. Even if I felt like you would totally take care of it all,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want you to.
Which I would.
You know what I mean?
Okay, two things. One, I will loan my car to like literally anyone.
So I don't even feel complimentary that you loan it to me because you're like, you literally will loan it to like a complete stranger.
When people come into town, I'm often like, hey, don't rent a car. Just use our car because we don't drive it very much.
Yeah.
Because the two of us
Work
from home.
Yeah.
And it's like fine. And it's so expensive to rent a car. And it's annoying to rent a car. And I feel like our car sometimes, it just feels wasteful that it sits in the garage half the time.
Yeah, I agree about that.
And so I want it to get used. And I'm like, and it's so nice. And it's electric and it has nice massaging seats.
Yeah.
And I just want people to use it. But my second point on this is I actually think it might be easier. Like if the house sitters crash the car, I'm less worried about my personal relationship with them.
Yeah.
It's more awkward, I think, if a friend
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
crashes your car.
Because with them, you can be like, look, dude, you owe me, like,
Yeah.
here's what's going to happen.
I think I also got in the habit of loaning people our car when I didn't drive a very nice car. And
Yeah.
then now
you drive
I do.
a pretty nice car, so I'm surprised.
But this is like the first time in my life, but I built the habit of being
Yeah.
like, yeah, anybody can drive my
Yeah.
car for over the years when I did not drive a nice car.
Does my anxiety about it or fear about it, because I think would you name it fear or anxiety?
I think you have like valid concerns. I don't think your concerns are not valid.
But what would you call them? Like, because
Yeah.
they're, well, whatever. But does my response and my overthinking it and overanalyzing
Does it change the way I think?
Yeah, does it in any way? And now that you do have a nicer car.
I don't think so. I mean, it
Okay.
did. I thought about it when you told me that. I thought, well, okay. The insurance thing I hadn't really thought about. The repair thing I had thought about. Like, what if it happens? And I
Yeah.
just think, okay, well, the insurance will cover it, or the other car's insurance will cover it, or the person driving, I assume, will cover,
Yeah.
will pay for the damages. But I hadn't thought about the fact that our insurance rates would go up.
Because it follows just so people know,
yeah.
your insurance follows the car, not the person. So if I am driving Liz's car while visiting her and I get in a wreck in her car, her insurance is the primary insurance, especially if it's my fault.
Yeah.
And my insurance might be like secondary backup insurance. If there was a claim over that amount, they might then go try to, hit mine too. But hers is the car's is the primary insurance. And any claim against that policy, in most areas these days will up your rates fairly significantly, actually.
I hadn't thought about my car insurance rates going up, and I did think about that after you said that for a little while. And the odds that someone is going to wreck my car when they're borrowing it seem pretty low.
Yeah. I'll also say, like, let's say they, like, drive your car and it gets totaled.
Yeah.
The amount you get often for a totaled car does not give you enough money to buy a new car.
That makes sense.
And, like, that sucks. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, shit.
That's
now I'm
even
out,
less likely, though.
I know, but, like, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's what it
I will.
worries me,
I will think
so-
about it. I guess the next time that it comes up, I will think about this conversation for sure.
But I think the lesson learned by me from you, to be clear, was it is okay to say no. Like, it's fine. Like, you very sincerely said to me, like, you can just say no. You can just say, I don't feel we don't loan our cars out. Like, we kind of have a rule. We don't loan our cars out.
Well, I think one takeaway that's not just me and Maggie like talking about our lives is, one, when you ask to borrow something, it's nice to preface it with just like, not only just it's okay to say no, but I always like to say, just so you know, I have a plan B and a plan C. So if you say no, I'm not put out by this. And I think it's actually easier if one way to say no that I think is really effective is like, oh, we just have a rule. We don't do that. Like if you had just said, Greg and I agreed a long time ago, we just don't loan our cars out to anyone, then I'm not feeling offended. I'm not feeling like, oh, you don't trust me. And then I'm not like, well, what is she trying to say?
Yeah.
With the like all the different pieces. And it's just, you just have a rule and you blame the rule.
That still, like, that sounds lovely to me. But, like, I can't, like, there's something in my, like, I don't know, where I, like, can't.
Do you want to practice?
Like, I just feel like a jerk saying that.
Maggie, can I borrow your car?
We just have a rule. We don't loan our cars out. I wrote it down when you said that, and then I reread it. Hey, Liz, we just... we have a rule. We don't loan our cars
I'm sorry I stressed you. I don't think you're a bad friend.
So what makes me feel better is to then throw up to you all of the reasons why this gives me anxiety and in the end just confuse you.
But you could still do that. Okay, so I think that here's the compromise. Here's the Maggie hybrid version.
Okay.
You could say, oh, Greg and I actually just decided on a rule a long time ago that we don't loan our cars out. Yeah, it's because we have this deductible and our car insurance rates go up and Teslas are really hard to get work on and
so
blah, 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 blah.
Okay, I feel what's more like I'm just like an introspective person. So like yes, and I still feel like not uncomfortable is the wrong word. Like I want to know why you feel so comfortable and why I feel so uncomfortable. You know, like what is wrong with me? It seems
out of character for me that I don't worry about this because I worry about a lot of things.
Yeah.
And I wonder, again, I guess when I was younger, I just feel like my friends and we all borrowed each other's cars all the time.
Yeah,
is that not a thing?
No, it didn't like ever happen.
We all just drove like really crappy old cars, so it didn't.
Yeah, and I think if I did drive a crappy old car, I wouldn't stress about it.
Yeah.
Like Greg was like, oh, we borrow our neighbor's, you know, we borrowed his pickup truck. And I was like, I totally like replace that thing if I, you know, like I would never borrow something I couldn't afford to like replace and make good if I...
That might be a good...
I would say is a good rule, right? Like, be careful and cautious because it could put a lot of strain on a relationship if you borrow some really expensive tool, you don't know how to use it right, you break it, and then you're like, here's your broken chainsaw back. I have no money to replace it for you, you know? So, yeah. I think a good best practice is don't borrow something you can't replace.
I don't know. I just felt... Now I'm thinking back to it. I remember... When my family I had family in town visiting in the winter, I borrowed a friend's car because I just didn't have enough room. Like we had enough family in town that I was like, oh, we only have one car and we need 2 cars. So I borrowed a car for that. And you borrow someone's truck when you're moving. Yeah. Borrow someone's SUV when you're trying to, you know, pick up something on Facebook Marketplace or something that doesn't fit in your car. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting because I think the same way you seem surprised that it doesn't bother me, it just never occurred to me to bother me. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. But that was the big, juicy story. That was our big fight. In case you were like, when are y'all going to share the big story? We just shared it. The big fight was, I said, can I borrow your car? And Maggie was like, I don't know. And I was like, just say no. And then Liz taught me that I'm an adult and can set my own boundaries and say no. So thank you. That was the whole, I'm sorry. That was. What's funny is, had you just been like, can I borrow $1,000? I would have been like, sure. Yeah, like, that's funny. I trust you. Like, of course. Here you go. No need to tell me when you'll get it back. You know, like, whatevs. Well, $1,000 to be fair. Well, actually, that's still fair. Less than like. If you said, "Can I borrow $50,000?" I'm going to tie it up, and I'm not sure if you're going to get it back exactly. Yeah. Which is the equivalent of like driving off with a car. You'd probably ask me a few more questions. I might ask a few more questions, like, do you know my deductible? I'm just kidding. Okay, so we've talked about cars. Okay, let's move to like. I don't know, should we do housing or money next? I think houses and then money. Okay, let's do houses. Because what's funny about the car thing is I was like, you're staying in my, mother-in-law's condo, but and I'd let you stay in my house. Yeah. And I wouldn't. My house is worth way more than my car, and I'm not worried you're going to burn my house down. Again, I'm not worried about you. I'm worried about other people, Right, and I'm not going to invite other people over to the house. Yeah. Also, you don't drive the house down the freeway at 70 miles an hour. True, yeah. There's less of a crash. There's a reason homeowners insurance rates are like relatively. Yes, I pay less than homeowners insurance. Right. So housing, like you let people. I let people borrow my house all the time, and I guess when I say borrow my house, stay in your house. I mean, of course, we have guests come and stay at the house all the time, but I have also many times had people come stay at our house when we're not there, and I just don't. For me, it just depends who the person is. I've got to have a high level of trust. I would let you. I would let many people. There's many people I wouldn't. Yeah. But I don't. And we do have a hard rule about animals. Mm. Like, this is an animal-free house. And really? So, yeah. For sure. I, couldn't bring my dog here if I wanted to. Nope. Hardcore. Look at me setting boundaries. Now you're judging me for setting a boundary. I'm just really surprised. I'm not judging you. I think that's great. I'm just...
Because it's a
surprised.
dog-free house. I don't have pet hair on anything.
Wait,
It's
haven't
like-
I seen you watch other people's dogs?
Yeah, at their house. I'll come
Oh,
watch your
they
dog.
stay at their house?
Yeah, I'll
pet
come
stays at
walk
their
your
house?
dog. It's my neighbor's dog. You probably
Yeah,
have
so
seen
the
me. So I
neighbor's
walk
dog
next
stays
door.
at
Yeah, I go next
neighbors.
door and I
Oh.
like.
The dog doesn't come here.
No, I give Jo. I mean, sometimes I let her in the carport. I'll let her like put her face in for a second, but her body doesn't come inside.
I'm not. Okay,
She's gonna.
sorry.
She would like. There'd be saliva on like dogs. So, you know, like dogs.
Does it have dogs?
Yes, they do.
Run
She
around?
does. Lots of dogs like
My dog doesn't.
drool and stuff. You know.
Oh, my dog doesn't
but,
drool.
But you know, lots of dogs drool. Come on. I
Some
didn't
dogs
make
do
that up.
drool. My dog would leave dog hair everywhere. I gave you a big reaction.
And poop. Some
We're
dogs
on-
poop and pee. I mean, I got tons of friends' dogs are like pooping and peeing all over their houses right now.
Okay.
Your dog is like a very well behaved dog.
I
think.
wouldn't. I mean, I don't think that would happen.
Okay.
I'm not saying my dog has never pooped
Yeah.
inside a house, but it's been a long time. I gave you a big reaction to that. It's
Funny that a child just walked in while we're recording wearing one of my favorite sweatshirts. Please do not get any stains on it that will not
borrowing
come
it
off.
without asking.
Borrowing without asking, not cool. But you look cute, and I like you.
It's better just borrow and ask for forgiveness.
That is not true.
That's not true. She just said it's better to borrow and ask for forgiveness.
And that's not true. Okay. I gave you. So it's
Oh, why'd you give me? Yeah,
it's an audio podcast. So you didn't. I made like a surprised Pikachu face.
a little judgmental.
I was just surprised. I was just shocked.
I'm surprised you're surprised by that. I'm going to tell you a crazy story then that you're going to really judge me about.
I'm just curious. I want to hear what you're worried about with having a dog in your
Oh,
house.
I can tell you exactly what I'm worried about.
Okay.
Similar to the list of things I rattled off to you related to cars.
Like, and what if the dog burns my house down? What if the dog bites my face
Let me
off?
just start with dog hair. I have like, I don't know how to describe. I do not.
You're
like
also
dog
allergic
hair.
to dogs, aren't
I
you?
am allergic to dogs, but
Okay,
that's not
that's
even
it.
my primary reason.
Oh.
Because your dog being in my house for like an hour is not going to like,
Yeah.
trigger me permanently.
Yeah.
Certainly, like your dog sleeping in my bed might, but
Yeah.
dog hair, I just don't like dog hair. I'm
Yeah,
just not a big
I
fan.
get it.
And then it's like you get it, and it's
Nobody
like,
like
everywhere.
likes dog
Yeah,
hair.
I know.
No one's like,
Right,
I
but
love
it's your
dog hair
dog,
all over
right?
my house.
So you
Yeah.
you deal with it. It's not my dog.
Right.
I don't have to deal with it. I don't have a dog. I know too many animals that pee and poop throughout
Yeah.
houses. Like I can name like people with like 10 people right around me that all
Yeah.
have animals that like constantly they're on pee pads and sometimes they miss and like
Yeah.
so I don't like saliva. I don't like I don't know like it just sort of I have like an aversion. I like other people's animals in their homes and out
Yeah.
in nature. You see me come up. I mean, we went on a hike today. I like
Yeah.
to go up and pet dogs and give them
Yeah.
a little bit of love.
Yeah.
And then I wash my hands because if I rub my eyes and stuff, I'll get a little itchy. But you want to hear a story that really tells you that this might be too much of a rabbit hole.
Do it.
This is how much. So Greg and I
Okay.
think we were married
Okay.
or dating.
Okay.
We might not have been married yet.
Okay.
But we were serious. It wasn't like
Yeah.
early on.
Yeah.
And Greg's dad was coming to visit. And dudes don't communicate, okay? So
Yeah.
the last time he came to visit, Greg lived on his own and or with another woman, you know.
Oh, okay.
I mean like his ex-wife.
I know. I know. I was just being silly.
So he was coming to visit. We knew he was coming to visit.
Yeah.
And he
Okay.
brought his dog, which is like you tell people when you're
You
gonna-
should say that. It's
But
just
he's
funny
a dude
because
and Greg's a dude and neither one of them ever
Yeah.
he didn't think to bring it up and Greg didn't think to ask knowing he has a dog. I didn't even
Yeah.
know he had a dog.
it's interesting.
And I said his dog couldn't stay here.
I know that we can. Okay. I know that. I don't want to go fully down the rabbit hole, but I remember I saw someone the other day who said like, I don't like dog culture, and I was like, dog culture is really funny. We have changed
I have no issue with
generationally,
dog
like
culture, to be clear.
the way that we have treated our dogs, as opposed to like
Yes.
20 or 30 years
Yeah.
ago. It's interesting though because I often will go to a friend's house, go to like a party, go, even not to stay, but just to hang out.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll say, "Hey, should I bring the dog?"
Yeah.
And I don't even like to say, "Can I?" But I'm like, "Do you want me
Yeah.
to bring the dog?"
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
of course the dog can stay home
Yeah.
alone, and that's fine. And I feel like usually if I get a no, it's like, "Oh no," because the baby might pull on
Right.
the dog's ears,
Yeah.
or like we have a cat, or someone else is bringing their dog, or whatever. But
Yeah.
I just never heard someone to be like, "We have a pet-free home." Like pets don't.
You
like,
don't
we have
know.
a
I know
dog-free
lots of
house.
people that have like a pet-free home.
Well, I know people who
Oh.
don't have pets.
Yeah.
But I don't mean like a pet-free home like we don't have pets, but a pet-free home like I never want a dog to cross this threshold ever. ever.
Yeah, I mean, even my brother's dogs can't come inside. They can play in the backyard. They can hang out for a
Interesting.
while. They cannot come inside.
That's so
They'll scratch
funny.
up the floor. They'll scratch up I mean, there's a million reasons. One of my best friend's dogs chews up everything. Like, I mean, like ruins people's clothing in her
Yeah.
house. You know, like. So I mean, I didn't finish my list of all the reasons, but it is that like they
I
chew
get
things
the
up, they
gist.
scratch floor. Like you just don't know. Every dog is different. You know,
Yeah.
like I'm not gonna sit there and interrogate you on like, is your dog well behaved? Is it gonna like?
I don't want to. Okay, this might really be too far down the rabbit hole, but I don't like to compare dogs to children because I don't think it's like an apt comparison. Like
Yeah.
I'm not a person who's like, oh, my fur baby. No,
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to
I know
say
what
that in
you
a pejorative way. Like if you feel that way, like your pets or your children,
Yeah.
I respect that, but that's like that's not how I feel. I
Yeah.
really love my pets, and they are pets. They are not
Yeah.
my children or like my babies. But it does feel a little bit like all those same reasons that you gave would be like reasons not to let children in your home. They could chew on stuff.
Well,
They
kids
could
wear
slobber
diapers,
on stuff.
you
They
know,
could pee
like-
on stuff.
Kids wear diapers. First off, I don't want a bunch of like unruly kids in my house either.
Yeah, that's
you know,
true.
I'd get pretty
Well,
anxious.
that's
when my
why I
kids
think
were
like
younger.
no bad dogs in the house is a good rule. But
Yeah, but how do I like? Were we gonna like do a test first? Like send
Yeah.
you to like obedience school? Okay, so just not to like further make myself sound like an asshole.
no,
but
I don't think you do
I
at
didn't
all.
allow his dog. I was like, no. And Greg, I think, was a little surprised how whatever I was. I was like having a panic attack. I was like, this is such an awkward situation.
Oh,
Like,
no.
how can he show up and like? I
It
think
is
was-
rude not to ask.
I think but I think in fairness, he didn't even think about it.
He was like, "Well, I'm coming." So
Greg used to have
you
a
must
dog.
assume that I'm bringing
Yeah,
my
and
dog.
guys don't talk. I don't know, but also like there was someone at home he could have left his dog with. It wasn't
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Anyways, big misunderstanding. I did find. I mean, we were starting to look for like a dog friendly hotel, and we're gonna pay for him to stay in a hotel.
Oh, wow.
Like, I was serious. I was like,
No, it's
well,
your
you can't
house.
come
It's
in the
fine.
house. Like,
Just to be clear, I'm not like
no, I know, but I even as I talk about it, I sound sort of unreasonable. But it's like a legit level of anxiety
I don't
about
even
the
think
what
it's-
ifs.
I don't think it's I want to be really clear. I don't think it's unreasonable. I'm just surprised.
Oh, just from other things you know of me.
Yeah, because you
Well-
seem to like dogs, and like you like
Outside.
me, and you like my dog when you came
Yeah,
to visit
I like
us.
your dog. I'll stay in a house with dogs because
Yeah,
it's in your house.
yeah.
And your dogs know how to live in your house.
I was just surprised. I don't think
Yeah.
so. I think it's like a good boundary to have.
Well, so I posted something on our like neighborhood listserv because I'm a solution person. Like just with you, I was like, I'm not gonna just say no. I'm gonna find you a
Yeah,
car.
yeah, yeah,
You,
you
know?
did. No, it
I'll
was
find
really
you
great.
a situation that
It was
works.
great.
And I actually, but by the way, our other option is we were just gonna drive you.
Oh yeah, that's kind.
And so back to the dog. I post on our neighborhood listserv. I'm like, hey, my like, I think I don't know, it was my father-in-law or my almost father-in-law came in town, didn't tell us he was bringing his dog. Like, it's actually apparently it's a good dog, but that doesn't matter. Not coming to my house. Like I'm allergic. I think I said like I'm allergic, which is true, but I'm not gonna
Yeah,
like die if
yeah.
the dog stays here for a few days.
But can someone watch the dog?
And I said, would there anyone in the neighborhood that would like help,
Be
keep the dog?
willing
We're
to-
happy to pay.
yeah.
And there was a nice lady that was like so sweet and was like, I totally understand. That's an awkward situation. Like
Yeah.
she can stay and he can come visit whenever he wants. And like,
Yeah.
they were so happy. And
Oh,
like,
that
and
sounds
then they
great.
like they chatted with him for a really long time. And they were like
Yeah.
very friendly. And I met a new neighbor that I hadn't
If I
met
saw that
before.
in my Facebook, I would do the same thing.
Yeah.
I'd be like, bring that dog over here right now. I want to
Yeah.
kiss it on the face.
I know. 'Cause you're in general
I saw so many cute dogs today. It was such a beautiful weather day.
on the hike. Yeah.
Yeah,
We
on the
saw
hike and then
we
on the
saw
walk
Oreo.
over here.
Oh yeah.
Just
even
on my
here.
little 15-minute
there's a
walk.
lot
I
of-
stopped for 3 dogs.
There's a lot of dogs in the neighborhood. I probably knew half the dogs you stopped for.
I
Wouldn't
stopped
let them in my
for
house, but I'll pet them.
Roscoe and Emmy and I forget the other one's name.
I feel like I know Roscoe. Okay,
Okay.
so
All right. We've arrived at the
can
big
we
one.
do a follow-up episode on why I am the way I am, though? Because I feel like otherwise I'm a fairly kind and generous person. I think,
I think
but now I'm wondering.
I think you are an incredibly kind and generous person. I felt extremely well hosted the whole time I'm here. I can't believe you were going to drive me like an hour away.
I was, yeah.
to go see a relative.
Well, I thought it was 30 to 45 minutes away, but I would have done an hour.
Yeah,
too.
we weren't sure how far
Yeah,
away. We don't know
I
Atlanta
was more
traffic.
just joking. I was like signed up for 45 minutes and then signed up for an hour.
We'd drop you off and then
Yeah.
you could Uber the last
Yeah,
15
yeah.
minutes or so.
It'll save
I
you at
think
least-
that you were a very kind person, and I think this is a little bit what we're trying to get at in these episodes, though, is think about what your boundaries are,
Yeah.
and actually don't be afraid to just
Yeah. Like, I'm a
Say.
worrier about certain things. I sort of go to the worst case scenario. I did this for a long time about early retirement. I went to like, all these things, what if all these bad things happen? And like, it took me happening. And so perhaps I need some like aversion therapy, you know, like someone needs to bring a dog in my house and just like when I'm out of town and just like realize that like the world's not going to die and somebody can vacuum when they're gone and we'll just get a lint brush and it'll be okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. We're going to go to borrowing money. We're
going to go to borrowing money. This is like this is the finale.
So,
all right. Money. Borrowing money.
What's funny is I'm way more willing to lend somebody money than I am.
Well, because again, I think it's because it's replaceable.
Well, and it's a clearly defined thing. Mm-hmm. So if Greg's dad had said, "Can I borrow $1,000?" I'd been like, "Here you go. Use it to pay for the hotel you and your dog are going to stay in." You know. Yeah. By the way, Greg's dad is lovely. It had nothing to do with him. I hadn't even met him yet. The guy must have thought I was such a jerk that was like, "Wait, this is your new this is who you're going to marry? She won't let my dog in her house." It's like, you can come in my house.
Make it work.
You know that movie Must Love Dogs? I'm like the opposite.
Like Must Hate Dogs.
Yeah. I mean, Greg had a dog when I met him. He passed.
What happened? Wait, what? Then what?
He was really old. You really,
listen, I really like you, but it's the dog or me. I have a pet-free household. Listen, Greg, I decided a long time ago, I made a rule to dogs allowed.
I mean, I knew I would never have married someone with a dog. I wouldn't have lived. He would have had to rehouse the dog, but it passed away. I'm sorry, I'm laughing while I'm saying it. It was very old. It was a retired greyhound dog. It had a lovely life, and it passed away of natural consequences well before we were even near moving in with each other.
Okay.
Like it passed away and then he moved to a rental house that probably didn't. I mean, people don't allow dogs in their rental homes for all the same reasons I don't allow them in my home.
You probably don't allow pets in any of your rentals.
No, actually we do.
Oh.
And we've been super burned. We've been super burned by it. And like, I mean, we had to replace the place you're staying in right now. We had cats like ruin the carpets.
Oh, yeah. I will say.
Cats are rough. Would you let a cat in your house?
I have let cats in my house, yeah.
I can't stump you. Okay,
fine.
We're back to borrowing money.
It's fine. It's not, I want to be really clear. I think that you should do the things that you are comfortable with, and you should say the things that you're comfortable with. And it sounds like you've set a really good boundary.
Well, I hope this is actually...
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Okay, so when Greg's dad showed up with the dog, did you say, "Hello, I'm so sorry, we have a dog-free home"? Or did you go, "Hi, it's so nice to meet you. Oh, you have a dog? Okay, here's the thing."
Well, no, luckily...
And then go into like an hour of context where he was like, "Wait, am I allowed to bring the dog in or no?"
No, the answer's no. So here's the thing. He was on like an 8-hour drive to our house with the dog. And so at some point... on the drive, I think Greg is talking to his dad. Greg would have to clarify the details of this because I'm fuzzy on him, but he was talking to his dad, realized the dog was with him, comes to me knowing that I'm not going to let a dog in this. You know, Greg knew me well at this point.
Yeah. And
because we had discussed this dog that Greg had before, you know, that R.I.P.
Oh. What was the dog's name?
You don't know. Oh my God. I just have a I'm crying. I can't. I'm gonna pee my pants. Oh my God.
I'm leaking out my eyes. You're about to pee.
Penny? No. Hold on.
Are you calling
Greg, what was your dog's name that you had when we met? Taboo. Oh, he was a sweet boy. It was a boy, right? Girl. Oh my God, I sound like the worst person in the world. I'm gonna cry.
Oh,
Greg, also, at what point when your dad was driving here, were we married when he came here with his dog?
No, not yet. I mean, I had moved in, but we weren't married yet.
At what point did you realize his dog was with him? Like on the drive?
Like, no, when he got here.
No, he wasn't like out front with the dog, was he?
Or maybe it was on the ride here. Maybe he said something like, "Oh, we'll be there in an hour," and I was like, "Who's we?"
Oh, that's what it was.
Chico or something like that.
That's what it was. Okay, thanks, babe. Taboo.
Yeah, no problem.
R.I.P. Taboo. Taboo. I remember now, taboo. Can we leave that in, or do I just sound like such a... that has to stay?
That has to stay.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
So, I...
Rest in peace, sweet taboo, sweet girl.
She was a sweet girl. I, gave her lots of love
Yeah.
at his house.
Sounds like at his house.
At his house. And we would have just lived apart for, we would have had a long-distance relationship. So, I mean, I did let his kids move in, to be clear. Right, back to the
Did
kid
they ever
example.
pee on anything?
Yeah, they made a mess of lots of things, and I let them stay here.
Did they chew on things?
Yeah, chewed on things, spilled things, stained things, and I love them to death.
You're like, and that was just today.
Yeah, that was just today in the last hour. And so, wait, okay, so yes, I forgot. He texts and says something like, "We'll be there in an hour" or something. And Greg was like, "Who's we?" And then Greg realizes it, and then there's all these phone calls and all this stuff, and I'm like,
So
yeah. And so we were able to have some private conversations. Otherwise,
That's
I would have
good.
thrown up on him in the driveway.
I would have thrown up.
Not
Thrown up
physically.
words.
I meant words.
I was
I would have thrown up words. And
Yeah,
and I mean,
yeah.
I had I had a legitimate panic attack when that happened.
I'm
I was
sorry.
I felt
Yeah.
so bad. I was like, I'm sorry, Greg. I don't know how to describe it to you. The dog
Yeah.
cannot come in the house.
Yeah. That's understandable.
I feel okay. We gotta move on.
If you have boundaries, the moral of the story is it's great to have boundaries.
Yeah.
You just have to be clear about them.
I would also like to say, when I was growing up, I had a cat, and I was allergic to cats, but nobody seemed to care in my house. And
What was the
this
cat's
cat,
name?
her name was Katie. I did know her name. She was a lovely cat. She was sick a lot. It was not the best animal experience. She was very sick all the time. And she basically diarrheaed on the carpet multiple times every day for the better
Why are
part
we
of her
talking
life.
about this?
Because I just want you to know I'm a little scarred when I say animals
okay.
ruin things. It's because my only experience living with an animal was literally me every day after school picking up wet diarrhea and there being stains up and down the hallway carpet.
Ew.
It's gross.
I think you should take that part out.
Okay.
That's really gross.
But it's true.
It's just
Too much.
depressing.
Okay. I mean, I didn't live in a terrible household, but
It
it was
sounds like you.
I'm gonna pee. Okay. Is there a better way for me to tell that? But I just want you to know where it comes from. Okay, so we're here to talk about borrowing money.
I keep thinking about how in the last episode I was like, tell me if you feel like the energy is different when we record in person. Okay.
So we were talking about borrowing money.
So
I feel like you know too much about me
I
right now.
think-
But my hair still looks nice.
it's drooping a little, but it's pretty good.
Does it look like I had a night out after my
You just do a little hair
zhuzhing?
toss. Yeah. Oh, beautiful.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we talking about
So we
borrowing
were talking
money?
about borrowing money.
We're going to talk about borrowing money
I think
now.
houses.
Houses. We haven't even gotten past houses yet?
Well, I know I was just transitioning.
Okay.
I mean, I think houses.
Oh, because we were talking about houses and I was like, no
And this
animals.
is
That was
about-
an hour
Yeah,
ago.
I
Okay.
know. I'm trying.
Okay, bring us back. Bring it back. Roll it back. Let's go. I'm going to quit talking. You go.
Houses, I mean, I think cars and houses do feel more sensitive. Somehow money is both more sensitive and less sensitive because it's
got
easily
concrete-
replaceable.
Well, and it's got a concrete
Right.
start and end. Sort of.
Right.
You ask for you say, can I borrow $500 even if it's forever.
And then you expect to get $500 back. As opposed to my house, for example, I consider my car very replaceable. There's some stuff in my house it's very old, right?
Yeah.
Like original molding
Yeah.
or the staircase is original to the house.
Yeah.
It's more than 100 years old. And so I worry about that kind of thing being damaged because that's not replaceable. Money is it's just super replaceable.
It is replaceable. And, my general rule of thumb, no one's really ever asked me to borrow a large sum of money. Has anyone ever asked you to borrow a big sum of money? Small or big, I guess.
Let me think.
I mean, someone's asked me to borrow $20 to give it back to me tomorrow because they don't have cash on them or something. And I'm always
Yeah.
here you go.
I think the most was probably less than $1,000.
Okay. So I say this from a place of zero experience.
Yeah.
and I know no one's going to believe me because I won't let dogs in my house and I won't lend out my car, but I would lend money if someone, close to me asked. And my general rule would be I probably wouldn't lend an amount of money that I couldn't afford to lose. Thank you. I couldn't think of the words. Yes, that I couldn't afford to lose.
And in some cases I might, depending on the relationship, I guess I'm just assuming it would be a family member. I might just say, here's what I can do for you, and like consider it a gift.
Yeah, I agree. And I also, I once borrowed a lot of money from my mom for a house remodel. Mm-hmm. I had half of it to pay myself, and then I borrowed half of it from her. And we had like a loose agreement of when she wanted it back. But, one thing you want to do when you are borrowing as the borrower or the borrowee is I think you want to discuss the terms, right? If it's this was $100,000 that I borrowed from my mom. And we didn't have any written terms because I had proved pretty trustworthy. I had a job. She knew I would pay it back, blah, blah, blah. I just didn't want to take a loan out. And
I'm curious, why did you decide to borrow from your mom instead of the bank?
Because she had it, and it wasn't really it's not like she had it working for her in any way at the time.
Okay.
And my dad had just died. I was doing this remodel. She just the money was there lying around. I don't know why the context of my dad had just died, and so I took advantage of an old woman. I'm just kidding. And
she probably maybe was feeling even more like she wanted to do something.
Yeah, and I think she had also helped my brother with some stuff, and so there was a part of it. She was like, "Don't even pay me back this portion because I gave it to your brother for XYZ." And then we had kind of agreed on payment terms, and she kind of at one point I was like, "I could just give you all this back now," and she was like, "No, I like you giving it to me in small amounts every year," because she's like, "I have you give me this amount every year, and then I pay my real estate taxes with it."
Oh,
and so she just sort of liked
mental accounting is funny. Yeah, I like it.
And so and then there was a part of it she wrote off again because she gave my brother the same amount. But with many people, I would say, you should have very clear terms. Are you paying interest? Yeah. Is there a time by which you need to pay it back?
Yeah.
Within. And so, and in some cases, if it's a large sum of money and there's a questionable, relationship or just, not even questionable, but not as close, you could have, legal terms written up.
Yeah,
that actually,
completely.
have some teeth in them.
I also, I think it's good when we admit places that we don't have a lot of experience. And again, we're coming to it from it. A lot of these situations are easier when you're coming to it from a lens of, well, I can afford to replace my car, or I can afford to fix my house, or all of those things. I think I've loaned a few $100s to a friend, and it was fine. I have also borrowed. This is just between us.
I mean, in the podcast listeners?
Yeah. Just
okay.
Don't tell anyone.
Okay.
Because you're not supposed to do this, but I borrowed the money for my first home purchase from my parents, which you were not supposed to do.
Oh, why not?
Because then technically you're leveraged for the whole house. So your parents
couldn't disclose that. Yeah.
Right. Your parents can gift you money for a down payment, and maybe someone might have signed even a letter that said it was a gift and not a loan.
Right.
But it was back when, remember when #thanks Obama, they were like, hey, if you buy a house, we'll just give you $8,000.
Yeah.
After the housing crisis. And so I was like, all right, I'll buy a house if you pay me $8,000 for the government. And that was actually because we hadn't planned on purchasing a home. The way the tax break worked, I won't make this too long of a story, but basically we bought a house, we closed in March, we were able to file it on that year's tax return. And so the down payment for the house was $8,000, and then we got that $8,000 tax credit a month later.
So you paid them back quickly.
Yeah. So I basically asked my parents to float me $8,000 for a month, and they did. And similar, But it essentially was I know you said oh, don't tell anyone, but because you didn't actually have any terms in place, which I assume you didn't, it kind of was a gift. Yeah, and
you
then
chose to pay it back,
and then I just chose to also gift them $8,000.
Yes. Well, I just mean it was a gift in the sense of you didn't have any real loan terms.
Definitely not actually legal. By the way, this is not legal or tax or financial advice.
Yeah, nothing we say is. Let's be clear.
But it's interesting that I think both you and I would say, oh, it makes sense to write something down and have terms, but both of us also borrowed money from our parents, and neither of us actually did that.
Well, and I think your parents are the one place where there might be enough history and trust, and they know where to find you, and,
exactly.
and ultimately, you might be taking care of
Take
them,
it out of our inheritance.
Yeah, right. Yes, so they can get you back on that if they want to.
A friend of mine, though, interestingly, so they actually got their mortgage through a family member who was like, I'll just loan you the money at 2%. This was before interest rates were 2% for everybody. And said, I would actually, I'm going to make a little money on the interest and you're going to get a good deal.
And they did like some proper paperwork, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I've actually looked at that because, I mean, when we were considering selling a rental, I looked into the process of us being, there's a term for it, but us being the lender. Like we could have been the lender in the same way that a family member could lend people money for anything. And you can write up like actual legal papers.
Right.
You need to go to, there was like, you need to go to a certain type of like mortgage something, lawyer, real estate attorney, etc. But yeah, so you can make it, I think the point is you can make it as official as you would like, and probably the officialness might need
to scale with the
amount and the trust and the history
and the
of who you're doing it with. Yeah.
Right. If it's over 15 years,
yes,
you probably want to get some paperwork involved.
Yeah.
If it's over 1 month, maybe not so much.
Yeah. And then, you know, the amount of money, if it's $100, if it's $1,000, if it's 10,000 or 100,000.
Yeah.
Yes. So
all right. I think
we could like summarize some best practices.
Some best practices. So I think when you're asking, ask nicely, of course.
Yeah.
And I would say a thing I always try to do is really offer a sincere out. Not just it's okay if you say no, but it's okay if you say no because my plan B is this.
Yeah, like I have that you have an alternative, that this isn't your only choice
like,
in life.
Can I stay at your house with my dog? And if not, I guess I'll just have him sleep on the street in the cold.
I guess I'll just tie him up to a fence
and hope he's still there in the morning.
I mean, just to be clear, I would have like paid for the dog to like go to a really nice doggy daycare,
like a dog spa.
Yeah.
But you could say, "Hey, can I borrow your car? If not, it's no big deal. I can also take a lift, or I might be able to borrow someone else's car."
Or I'll just go ask your mom.
Exactly.
Because she's way nicer than you are.
Yeah.
My mom didn't even question it. I said it was for Liz, and she was like, "Oh, of course Liz can borrow my car."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I like it when your mom DMs me.
Yeah. She'd probably like to meet you while you're in town.
Yeah.
She just can't verbalize things like that, but I bet you she'd like to meet you. We'll go visit
absolutely
her. We'll go
make that happen.
Okay.
Yeah. I was flipping through the Vanity Fair magazine.
Oh, right. Gave you. Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to text her right now and say, can Liz and I pop by at some point?
Okay. That's so nice.
Just to say hi.
But also, Maggie's mom, it's okay to say no and set some boundaries.
Okay. So.
Yeah, we got to wrap this up. I still got to go do your kid's hair.
Right. You got a lot of chores before you can leave.
I do.
Okay. So I think my biggest takeaway from this, did you just say this? Is that it's okay to say no?
I was making a joke about your mom, but.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I feel like,
boundaries.
Maggie, you're usually teaching people things, but I think you've learned something.
I've learned something.
In this
Sensei
the teacher has become the student.
Okay. I like it.
It's okay to say no.
It's okay to say no.
You want to practice? Maggie, can I borrow your car?
We just have a rule. We don't loan our cars out. Sorry,
and you sound
Liz.
like the TikTok voice. Okay.
I'm going to get Siri.
We'll work on
and be
that.
like, Siri, can you say it for me?
Yeah, we'll work on it.
Actually, I'm going to be like, oh, I don't know. Can you text me and ask me the question? Because it'd be easier for me to text you that.
That's so true.
Okay. No, I'm really sorry. We have a rule where we don't loan our cars out.
Oh, that was so good.
Thanks.
Yeah, but then don't make the weird face at the end.
I'm sorry. That's just my face.
Where you're like, ooh. She made like the grimace emoji. Like,
yeah,
ooh.
the full teeth emoji.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
We
Next.
talked about
best practices. Return things the same or better than you found them. So if you borrow someone's car, fill it up with gas. If you borrow a piece of clothing and you know how to wash it, wash it or get it dry cleaned.
Be careful on that one. Don't just wash it.
Exactly.
You know? Don't dry it, especially. Yeah. Don't ever dry something you borrow, just in case.
Agreed.
I don't know. Or like ask them. Be like, is it okay to dry this?
Fully
Hey, I got a question. What if you borrow something? Because I've done this a lot where it's like, I had something and I'll say like, oh, I'll wash it before I bring it back to you. And they're like, oh, don't worry about it. Like, just, it's fine. I already got to do laundry. Like, at that point, if it's like, I'm erring on the speediness of returning something, and they genuinely seem to be like, they're gonna rewash it anyways.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's okay.
I think that's okay. Use your words. Say, okay, well, normally I like to return things better than I found them, but I also don't want to wash this if you have a special way that you like to launder it. So I'll just return it.
And I think it's also nice, like, in addition to, like, returning something better than you found it, that's not always an opportunity. There might not be, like, with a gas, you can fill up the car tank or whatever. Mm-hmm. But let's say, or like the chainsaw example, but let's say you're like, well, I don't know how to return this sweatshirt better than I found it. Maybe a sweatshirt's not the best example, but a power tool or something. I would
spritz it with my nice perfume before I return it back to you.
Some people might not like that, though. Remember that scent I recently got all over me, and everyone was like, you smell like... This thing spilled on me in a store, and I was like, I smell like this. And I got in the car.
Well, I wouldn't use that. I would use my, like...
something better.
It would be Chanel.
Oh, that's fancy.
You can borrow my Chanel.
I don't allow Chanel in my house. Give me a fresh laugh. I'll cut that one out. You give me a... Oh my god, that sounded
that sounded good, right? Acting.
That was good.
That was disgusting. I was like...
Wait, what were we talking about right before that? Oh, what I was going to say is you can also, like, send some flowers from your garden over with it. Like, drop off a little, I notarize things for free for people in the neighborhood, and people always try to pay me, and I'm like, do not pay me, because, like, I need to, like, make it clear that I'm not an asshole, because clearly I am if you ever ask me to borrow a car or bring a dog in my house, but I'll notarize something for you all day long. And so, but I will not take people's money, but one time someone, like, brought me some fresh flowers and, like, some baked goods, and I was like, okay, bring it on.
I think
I'll take some chocolate.
A lovely... Right? Even
and that's a
cold
nice
spindrift. Like,
etiquette. Yeah, just something nice. Something that person would appreciate.
Yeah, or write them a thank you note. Like, thank you for letting me borrow it, or...
Handwritten thank you notes.
Yeah.
So underrated these days. It's like a skill that people don't have anymore. I'm a big fan of handwritten thank you notes.
I agree. Even, like, a nicely written thank you text.
Yeah.
Of, like, not just, like, thanks for letting me borrow that, but, wow, you're a really generous friend, and you really helped me out in a pinch.
Yeah.
That really was meaningful for me, and it saved me time, or it saved me money, and I will remember this.
Yeah. I sent, like, Ben lent me his chainsaw. I, like, sent him a picture of the tree I cut down. And I was like,
nice.
Check this out. I was like, Greg, send him a video of me, like, cutting my thumb off with a... Just kidding. Okay. Last thing.
And I think our last rule that I didn't thought about it, but it came out of this conversation for me. Don't borrow things that you can't afford to replace.
Yeah. And that's not, that comes from a place of privilege, being able to say that, I think.
Yeah.
But use your own judgment of, like, it doesn't mean you can never borrow, but, like, you know the level of risk. Like, borrowing someone's brand new, I was trying to think of, like, a fancy car, like a Lamborghini, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is risky.
Or even, like, I don't know, there could be a tool that, I don't know how much tools cost.
I don't know, a few $100 maybe. It depends what it is. But
okay.
Like,
well, you could be in a situation where you couldn't afford to replace someone's couple $100.
But you also use your own judgment of, like, the level of risk of, like...
Yeah.
Something happening to that thing.
I mean, I would say think about your plan for in case you damage or...
Yes.
Right?
What would you do? Yeah. Can you work it off? Can you,
Yeah. Like, if you lost my mascara, I wouldn't care.
Yes.
If you crashed my car, think about what
I can't
you
tell
would
if you
offer.
care. I feel like you're okay with it. I'm just kidding.
I mean, I just...
Yeah, no, if I crashed your car, I would...
I trust that people would do the right thing.
Pay the deductible.
Okay,
I would be like, what's happening? If I'd be like, did you lose value on that car because of that? Like, what happened? I would check in with you to be like, tell me what happened. And, like, what would make you comfortable? How, you're better at words than me, Liz, but, like, how can I make this right? Like, what do you think is fair for me to, like, make this right? Like, just ask somebody and see what they say.
That's a really good way to say it.
That's what I would do. I might make an arm and be like, you tell me, this has never happened to me before, but, like, I want to make this right. How do you feel like, what do you think is fair given what happened?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to ask. I like it.
Okay. I think we
did it.
Yep, we overdid it.
We double did it.
We cook these things like it says you cook it at 435 for 20 minutes, but we're like, no, let's turn it up to
500, 1 hour.
500, 3 hours. We forgot to check on it. It just keeps going. They're like, someone's like, your house smells like it's on fire. And we're like, yep, that's us on fire, podcasting. I'm surprised nobody has come in here and been like, why are you guys laughing so uncontrollably? Because I don't even know if you're going to get the pleasure of the full amounts of the laughing that we've done. I'm going to have to cut some down.
It's boring. Please send me a little clip and I'll make it like the sound when you text me.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to make it your phone ring when you call me. Yeah.
It'll just be like...
I'm going to use that one from earlier where you were like...
God.
I do that all the
Coughed
time.
and laughed. That was...
Okay.
Okay. We don't need to do the outro.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening. We love you so much.
You know what people might ask to borrow is like your favorite podcast. So what you could do is say, you don't even need to wait for someone to ask what your favorite podcast
Just
is.
loan
You
that
could
out
say,
for free.
Here's my favorite podcast, and like listen to this podcast about borrowing stuff. You know, don't
Next
send
time
it to
someone
my
asks
father.
you
Don't
to
send it to
borrow
my
something.
father-in-law.
No, yeah. Next time someone asks you to borrow something, be like, I would like to answer in the form of a podcast.
Just send them
And
my
then send
clip.
them a link to this.
Send them my clip of saying, "We just have a rule. We don't loan things out. Sorry,
Exactly.
but I really value our friendship.
Yep. Can I loan you $1,000?
Can I get you a new mascara? Would you like to borrow my mascara? Oh, wait, I don't have any.
Yeah.
Do you have pink eye? I'm just kidding. Okay.
All right. I think we did
Yeah,
it.
we did it. If you have any thoughts or questions, like, I guess I want your feedback. I'm not sure if I want your feedback on this episode, but you could leave us a voicemail or text us at 404-981-3370, or you can hit us up on Instagram. The main message I would like to hear is how much of a jerk you think I am after listening to this episode. Do you
0%.
think less of
0%.
me? Oh, that's nice, but like, I want to know if other people out there now think less of me.
I think that they're going to think like I'm the jerk.
No, you're so nice. You lend things out to everybody.
I know, but for being judgmental about you not letting dogs in your house.
Oh, I don't think so at all.
Okay. Well,
They didn't see the face you made. I'm the only one that saw that face.
it was just it was a surprised face.
I'm surprised you're surprised as someone
Yeah.
who's so anti-dogs in my house.
Well,
But I
thank you
know
for-
I'm a rare bird.
thank you for listening. Yeah, a lot of times we enjoy feedback, but I just would like to ask you to keep in mind that we have multiple objectives in making this podcast, and a lot of it is wanting to make valuable content for you, and also some of it is wanting to like pee our pants laughing for ourselves. And maybe we hit the first goal, but we definitely hit the second goal.
Yeah, I shouldn't be worried about animals peeing in my house because, like, I definitely just peed in my house while sitting in this chair.
We're out.
And we're out.
Inside out.
Bye, Liz.
Bye, Maggie.
We're going round and round and round and round.